Welcome to Between Sundays. I'm Tyler, but who do you say I am? Today we're building this pod on the rock, which is Peter, who's really Cephas, who's actually Simon, son of John. But before we take up our cross and follow the Son of Man, now that they've seen things merely from a human point of view, let's rebuke our favorite co-hosts, Maron and Barry. Good day, guys.
Rebuke.
Indeed. Are you okay?
No.
What's going on?
I was just noticing the hindrance.
I have to read the thing, and you're in my direct peripheral vision.
Jostling the microphone.
Going crazy during the intro.
Try to stay focused.
Oh, my goodness. Amateur hour. Oh, guys, family business. We're just going to keep moving.
Fantastic.
We're going to be talking about Matthew 16, diving more into the life and choices of Peter in just a bit. But first, Wizard of Oz opens next week, guys.
Woo.
Yay! November 21st. Tickets are still on sale, but we've sold nearly 5,000 tickets already.
Wow, that's great.
That's awesome.
So pickings are getting slim, if you know what I mean.
Is that because of Marcus's special call out
Oh,
during
yeah.
yesterday's service?
Just shaming everybody?
No. Saying that he wants to beat Amy
Yeah.
in selling more
Oh,
tickets.
yeah.
Rivalry.
Yeah,
Rivalry.
because she shamed him. She took
That's
him off
right.
the schedule. Yeah. She took him off the host schedule.
It's all for a good cause. It's all good.
Yeah.
If he sells more tickets than she did, she
Yeah.
will never hear the end
Yeah.
of it.
No.
Yeah. You can get tickets at gracechurch.us/theater. So,
Spelled either way.
yeah.
Theater.
Guys, what's new?
What's
happening?
new? I'm coming in here
Hot.
very stressed. Just stressed. So we're not going to get into all the details. You don't need to. It doesn't matter. But Liv was in a car accident on Saturday. She's fine. It wasn't her fault. Totally the fault of somebody else. You didn't know this?
No.
Oh, you hadn't heard.
You didn't tell anyone.
Well, I don't know. I don't even. Whatever. Here, it's on the podcast for the world to know.
I only spent all of Sunday morning with you, but
Yeah.
no, I did not hear.
I mean, I didn't. Whatever. It's. I almost said it's not mine to tell, but here I am talking about it on
Yeah.
a podcast. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the point is that this morning, since now everything's open, I spent a whole bunch of time on the phone with Allstate and with towing company and with all the stuff, and I'm just trying to navigate this, and it's such a mess, and insurance is a pain, and police reports and all that stuff. So that's kind of how I felt this morning. But that was combined with this unexpected winter blizzard that we're now in the middle of, with inches of snow on the ground and sub-freezing temperatures. And I've been working to winterize the farm and get the barn ready to go so the animals can all be comfortable. But we're not entirely ready, and so now I'm scrambling.
Of course not. It's November 10th. Why would you be ready?
I'm scrambling to do that, and then Liv's in the show, so I'm leaving this podcast to go straight home to feed the animals before I come right back to the John class that's going on tonight here at Grace. So it's just a lot of that. I'm a little stressed, but it's okay.
It's not great.
Well, it happens. Life happens.
A lot
This
of
is how it
back and
goes.
forth for you lately.
Yeah, it's a lot of that, but at
So
least
Olivia's
I'm driving.
okay. That's the most important
She's
part.
okay. She's fine, and the car, I had no idea. It seems pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, and there was another car involved. They might come to the show. The person that the other guy, I don't think the instigator of the accident will come. I don't think he was really interested in hanging out with everybody. But we got to know the family of the other car. Yeah,
it's a two cars guy.
He turned into her. She was just driving straight through an intersection of the green light, and he just turned, said something was obstructing his view. Your phone, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, he hit her, and then a combination of him hitting her and her trying to swerve then ended up pushing her into another car that was about to turn right. So anyway,
deal.
but again, they might come to the show because they were like, oh, wow, interesting. That sounds great. And they heard she was the Wicked Witch, and they were all very excited. So because that's
Two
where she
things
was.
about
She was
that.
on her way to rehearsal. That's what.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, go ahead.
Two things about that. One, does something's obstructing my view hold up in court?
I doubt
Does
it.
that matter? Why was that part of the police report? Something
This is
to determine
by this
who's
point,
at fault?
it's like fifth hand that I'm hearing that. So I don't know what he actually said to whom.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to the guy. So.
Second,
Yes.
if those people come to the show, that will be at least the second incident involving police officers and a Grace employee that has gotten people to come to one of our shows.
Well,
Really?
Yeah, one year when I was in Les Mis, I was pulled over for speeding on the way home, and I was in like my makeup.
Stage makeup.
Yeah, and the police officer was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm coming home from a show I'm in, Les Mis," and he goes, "Oh, I love Les Mis. Just go home."
You didn't get
No,
a ticket?
nothing.
Wow.
Then did he come to the show?
Yeah, he's like, where is it? And I was like, Grace Church. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get I love Les Mis. I'm gonna get my family to come.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You just never know.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Lord, use it all.
So anyway, yeah, I'm fine, but it's just a lot of running around and I don't know. And we have this new pig, Eileen. I think I mentioned her before.
Yes.
And she has more significant special needs than we thought.
Aw.
She's basically blind and also has like a disability with her front hooves. So she is just really having a hard time. And the other piggies are finally leaving her alone, but like it's going to be a while before she feels like super comfortable at our place. And now it's like deepest, darkest winter all of a sudden.
She seems like a pig that will never feel super comfortable.
Well, she might
we
not.
met her last week, and she can't walk, she can't see.
Right. She can walk. It takes a lot of effort, and she's got to like get up.
You and
get
Olivia
ready.
were both pushing
Yeah.
her
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
about
'Cause
30
she-
yards into the barn.
We think she gets, the other piggies will bully her or even just come up sniff her, and that scares her or whatever. So she ended up in like the far field. And so we had to try to get her back to where it's like warm and safe and like close her up for the night. So that we had to like push her, which she did not want to do. It's a whole ordeal. So anyway, I'm fine. How are you, Maron?
Yeah, Maron, what's new with you?
I'm doing great. Doing good. I actually love the snow.
Oh,
Really?
no.
I think I always, every year,
Oh, my
annually love
goodness.
the first snow. And then with each subsequent snow, I love it less and less and less. But the
Do you
first
think-
snow.
Has that always been, like, is that Chicago? Like, you love the cold weather? Like you?
Oh, come on.
Who doesn't love a Chicago winter?
No, I very famously hate the cold.
So what is it about snow? Just
The
pretty,
vibes.
like looks?
It's the vibes.
It's very picturesque.
yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me want to make warm food, like good,
Yeah, that's
cozy
true.
food. I made
Mhm.
I woke up and made chili for dinner because I'll be at the John class.
Uh-huh.
I won't be home to make dinner.
Uh-huh.
So I just made it first thing.
Yeah.
I made like a Colorado style green chili. It's so
What does that
warm.
mean? What's Colorado style?
It's like poblano peppers
Put some
and
avocado in it.
masa. You thicken it with masa. So
Hmm.
it's a stew, not a soup. You
Not
should
this.
try it out.
To
but no,
consult a prior
love-
episode.
I love the first snow. I love everything about it except for the fact that my son still has not raked the leaves because he doesn't believe in raking leaves.
It doesn't even matter.
And now it has snowed on top of the
No,
leaves that
it
he
doesn't
did not
matter.
rake.
There's no point. I cleaned my whole yard on Saturday. By the time I woke up Sunday, the whole yard, I cleaned my yard and my gutters on Saturday.
Mhm.
By the time I woke up Sunday, it had stormed or whatever.
Mm-mm.
My yard was completely full and the gutters were completely full.
Now, let me ask you a question. Why did you do it before all the leaves were done?
Because I was like, I didn't know it was going to snow, but I was like, it's warm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Might as well do it now.
I want to do at least half of it in the warm weather
Yeah.
because Saturday was nice. I didn't know it was going to be snowing the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter. Jaden, don't even try.
No, I want him out there raking snow the minute he gets home.
I don't have a car that has windshield wipers working right now.
Well, that's not
Ooh.
great.
Like they don't move. It's not like they just like smear water all over. They don't move.
Have
So
you taken it to be
no,
looked
I've been
at?
waiting. It's been that way for probably 6 months.
Oh, we don't want to know that.
But I usually just either don't drive in the rain or
Drive really, really
stick my head-
fast.
stick my head out of the window or something.
What a grand plan.
But today was really, really hard
Yeah.
because it was snowing and there was ice on the windshield
Mm-mm.
and all that stuff. So I'm taking it in this week.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That's nice.
tried to hold
That's
out as long as I
wonderful.
could.
Good for us to all know.
Yeah.
Something might be obstructing your view.
Yeah. The thing that's new with me, I have to share this because it makes me laugh every time I get it. I have 2 boys in school, and I don't know how you guys were or how Maron, how your kids were when they like went to the school nurse. But the school nurse nowadays, the school nurse nowadays sends you emails with like reports of like
Mm.
what your kid is complaining about or
Mm.
whatever. So anytime they go to the nurse, we get an email with a report.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually insane. It's like, child complained that finger hurt, clipped fingernails, and sent him back to class or whatever. It's like
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
today, Lane, we got one about Lane, who's 5. He's in kindergarten. And it said he was complaining that he felt full after he ate lunch.
Ooh. Better go home. Better go on home,
He was
Lane.
complaining.
Sounds to me like someone who wants to get out of class for a little bit.
The time logged was less than 2 minutes that he was in the nurse's office, just letting her know he felt full. Sent us an email about that.
Hey, you know what? Men have such a tendency to not get their health checked out. You know what? Let's give him props for doing it, for putting his health first.
I only have more questions.
Yeah.
He told his teacher he felt full and needed to go to the nursery.
He probably said, I need to go to the nurse. And teacher said, okay. And when he got there, the nurse was like, what's wrong? He's like, my tummy feels full. And it was like right after lunch.
Did she advise him? Did she just have him lay down for a minute?
Here's exactly what it says. Student had home lunch, so brought from home, and stomach feels full. Denies nausea and vomiting. States he doesn't need to use restroom. No other complaints.
Oh, Lane. That's hilarious.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Good thing we get those reports.
You got to keep those.
Yeah.
You got to keep those. My
Man.
kids did not have a school nurse.
No?
They're a tiny little private Lutheran school.
So what happened?
Did
How would
not have a
anybody
school
know
nurse.
if they were sick?
They had a secretary, a chain-smoking secretary.
So she
who
just called
played
you.
bunco.
Like, hey, you
Bunco
got to
on
come get
Friday
your
nights.
kids.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a small school. Like,
Yeah.
everybody just had everybody's phone number, and the teacher probably could have called
What if
me
they needed
directly.
like a Band-Aid or a medicine or something?
The secretary.
Man, yeah. Well, I would have loved to have heard what Desi's email nurse reports would have said.
No, so I got other reports about my sweet Desi girl. She's always been my little activist, you know.
Yeah.
And so one time, another school associate, another teacher came to her class and said, I need some strong young boys to help me carry in these boxes from the parking lot. And, you know, she was livid. So she wrote this like manifesto
Oh, yeah. How dare you?
about how girls can carry boxes too. And another thing, why are girl
Yeah.
push-ups called girl push-ups? I still have that. I still have her
How
manifesto.
old was she?
She was, let's see, she had Mrs. Smith as her teacher, so I'm thinking third grade. That would be
Third grade. So she was like Milo's age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Milo
She's a strong
wouldn't
sense
even
of
know where to
justice.
begin with things like that.
She just really wanted to carry boxes. She wanted to get out of class.
Yeah.
And the
that's what
teacher
she
came
wanted.
looking
Yeah.
for boys, and she didn't have a chance to
Yeah.
leave.
So, yeah.
Subverting the patriarchy at an early age.
Wow.
Good job.
All right. What week are we in? 2?
Yeah.
Week 2 of the
It's
micro
hard to
series
say
of Matthew. Follow me of the mega series Matthew. Follow
Yeah,
me.
with the exception that we took out the first 3
Yeah.
weeks for our Christ Above All
Clear
series
as
in
mud.
October.
But for all purposes,
Week 2.
we're in week 2 of the Peter mini-series.
Yes, correct.
Peter.
Nope. Let's just move on.
Peter mini series.
Yeah.
All right. So Barry, what was the big idea?
Okay, so this part of the gospel Matthew really focuses in on Peter and sort of his role as kind of a leader of the disciples, but also kind of like chief knucklehead of the disciples, where he gets things wrong or gets things confused. Last week we saw him walking on water. This week he has kind of one of his highest highs and lowest lows back to back. One of which where Jesus basically really commends him for correctly identifying him as the Messiah, the Son of the living God, and so he tells him, "Hey, I'm going to build my church on you, essentially on this rock." And then right after that is the moment where what?
Yeah, this moment. Is
Yeah,
funny.
where Jesus is telling his disciples, "Guys, I'm going to Jerusalem. I'm gonna die." And Peter's like, "That's not gonna happen to you." And Peter looks at him and says, "Get behind me, Satan."
Yeah.
So it is about as far away as you can get from saying you are
Man.
blessed to
Peter-
get behind me, Satan.
I resonate a lot with Peter.
I think a lot of people
We're gonna
do.
talk
Yeah,
about
I mean
this,
that's he's and that's I
Man.
think on purpose. He's very
Come
very
on.
relatable.
He needed a win.
He did get a win.
After what just happened with the water and falling in the water with his friends.
Yeah.
and-
I don't know. I'd say "Get behind me, Satan" is mild compared to ham-fisted. You've said that twice now.
I have.
Yeah, I was
Ham
wondering about ham-fisted.
Fisted?
That's just
I
an
had
expression.
to Google it.
What?
I've never heard that before.
What is it with you guys having to Google
No,
my
I know it.
expressions?
I know what it means.
Clutching pearls,
Oh yeah,
ham-fisted.
I know what that. I know what that means.
It's like
Hams for fists?
Yeah,
that's the expression. It's just like,
flum-
clunky.
yeah, fumbling around.
Clunky,
Yeah.
fumbling. I'll never use ham-fisted again. I'm so sorry. I'll
No,
use
I
something
liked
else.
it.
No, I think I'm going to use it.
Okay,
Week
good.
3.
Yeah, this is how language evolves. I love it.
Oh,
Favorite
you're
ham-fisted
preaching this week.
disciple. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
So anyway, the big idea of the message is basically it's almost twofold. We are
Yeah.
all invited, I think, to see ourselves in Peter and to understand that simple faith is where things begin. And Peter had no idea clearly where things were headed, but he still believed in who Jesus was, and that was where the church began. It was on a simple declaration of faith. On the other side is the reality that it is very easy for us to misunderstand the means by which Jesus does the things that Jesus does, and his ministry, the way of Christ is the way of self-sacrifice, and that Peter again could not comprehend. And in a few more weeks, I just started working on it this morning, but we're going to talk about who's the greatest in the kingdom. The disciples are wanting to know who's going to be the greatest, and as usual, Jesus inverts their expectations significantly. So
Ham-fisted sons of thunder.
ham-fisted, yeah. Anyway, so,
I mean, if you think about hams for fists,
and you're trying to do delicate work, yeah, that's exactly it. I think it's a perfect expression.
dexterity with the hams for fists. Yeah. Okay, so like we said, this is 2 chapters after what we talked about last week, which was Peter walking on water
for a bit before
for a
he
second.
falls. Yeah.
This story is also told in Mark 8 briefly, as well as Luke.
Yeah.
But neither of those include the part where Jesus calls Peter Satan.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Luke and Matthew both seem to have had Mark as a source. That was kind of their starting point, and then they each brought in their own unique information, and they each had their own. They had one other source that they both shared that isn't stuff from Mark, and so anyway, Mark was so that's why a lot of the stories will show up in multiple places.
And this is the first of 3 times, right? Jesus predicts his death.
I'm not sure actually on that one, how many times he does it or when he does it.
Well, it's a number of times. The next time he does it is the very next chapter, Matthew 17. But I think he does it 3 times. But
he's alluded to it in other places, I think, but maybe this is the most direct that he's ever been. I mentioned geographically in the storyline, this is the farthest north that they ever get, and then they start moving. Everything else from this point on is just south to Jerusalem. And so this really is the hinge point in the book where things start moving towards the cross.
Okay. So who do people say the Son of Man is? In verse 14, Jesus asks his disciples, and their answer basically is prophet.
A prophet. One of the old ones come back again, or some other prophet.
And they named John the Baptist, Elijah, and Jeremiah, right? I was wondering if those names, was there any reason they would have named them? There's a bunch of prophets. Is there any specific reason why they would have named those people? Because another thing that happens in Matthew 14, and we talked about last week, just touched on, is John the Baptist just died, right? So are they saying, these people think these prophets come back from the dead? What do they actually mean by they think you are these guys?
The John the Baptist one is a little bit confusing, and I don't have a super clear answer. It's possible that it's just about the fact that there are no photographs of people anymore, and so Jesus going around teaching in the wilderness, people might have thought, that must be John the Baptist. We heard about that guy teaching down in the wilderness. And just an innocent mistake. I don't know. It's also possible that when he says, who do they think the Son of Man is, that they were trying to answer the question of who do they think the Son of Man, the category is going to be, not who do they say I am. But anyway, all that to say, the other ones, Jeremiah, Elijah and Jeremiah. Elijah is one of the more significant prophets narratively in the Old Testament, and Jeremiah is the prophet he's kind of the prophet of the exile in a lot of ways, and his prophecies were very much wrapped up with the sort of the destruction of Jerusalem and the the grief of the people of God having lost their way. And so by implying that perhaps people think of him as Jeremiah or in the spirit of Jeremiah or Jeremiah come again, they think of him as a prophet in the spirit of the one that was there when the people really lost their way.
And Elijah didn't die. And this might come up again in next week's sermon, but Malachi 4:5 was one of those prophecies that the people of Israel would have held on to in those days. See, I will send the prophet Elijah to you before that great and dreadful day of the Lord comes. So they were waiting on Elijah,
Right.
which is why they would have mentioned maybe he's Elijah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought usually I think there's got to be some reason they would have called out those people's names, but
well, I think the common thread is prophet. They're all
Yeah.
prophets, and that meant something. I mean, to be a prophet was to be someone who is a spokesperson for God's truth, and that's an indication that the people didn't just think he was just some guy. They didn't just think he was a rabbi. They thought he was someone who had a level of power and authority. But what Peter says takes it to a different level.
You drew out the meaning of Peter's name.
Yeah.
Simon Peter, which meant rock.
Yeah. His real name, his basically Hebrew name is Simon, or Aramaic name is Simon. His nickname given to him by Jesus, according to John, is Petros in Greek, which is actually Cephas in Aramaic, which is his name. So basically, his real name is Simon, son of John, and Jesus and everybody would have called him Cephas in real life.
Okay.
And Matthew translates that into Greek as Petros, which is why we call him Peter.
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
Jesus said he's going to build his church on this rock. Right. And I couldn't help but wonder, and I didn't Google it because I want you guys to tell me, just like every week. Did people have a concept of what church meant?
Great question. I did not get into
build
that
this,
in the message
build
at
my
all.
church on it.
Is
anybody
it the word
like,
for
what does
church?
that mean?
In Greek, ekklesia,
Yeah.
it is the word for church. In Matthew, Matthew has Jesus talking about the ekklesia multiple times. What is interesting is that that's a concept or a phrase that doesn't actually really show up in history until later in the development of Greek Christians. And so it is it's one of two things. Either Matthew is taking Jesus's Aramaic teachings and converting them into the language that his readers would understand, the church, ekklesia, as they would understand it. Or he did talk about his gathering of people in Aramaic, and Matthew was just trying to capture it in a Greco-Roman phrase. The word ekklesia does not literally mean church.
Yes.
Well, you can explain it. Do you
According to my iPad.
There we go.
No, it means assembly or gathering. So upon this rock, I will bring my assembly or build my gathering, build my assembly. But we translate that into church.
Right. There were other ecclesias all throughout the Greco-Roman world. You could be in like a club. You could be in like a civic ecclesia. That was just part of the Greco-Roman world. But the church became sort of the ecclesia. Just like in the Old Testament, there were many messiahs, many anointed ones. But then it became the anointed one, the Messiah. It's the same idea. There were lots of different ecclesias, but that became the name of what this gathering is. It's the ecclesia. It's the church, and that's why we call it the church.
And he says, my church.
My church.
My church. My ecclesia.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because you asked us to think about like what Peter would have been thinking after Jesus said this.
Yeah.
And so I just sat there and I thought about that for like 20 minutes. And
he's like, "What's a church?"
Yeah. That would have been my first question. Like, what's that? But weren't people already like gathering? Like, they were already kind of following Jesus around.
Yeah. Again, we don't know what Jesus would have actually said in the Aramaic. So this is all a translation into Greek. But an ecclesia is not just a gathering; it's a gathering with a shared purpose or a common purpose. So it isn't just like anytime people gather together, it's an ecclesia.
Yeah,
it's we gather because we are part of the Corinthian Leather Workers Association. That's our ecclesia.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So it's like there's a specific thing drawing the people together.
And then I thought, man, Peter, you just fell in the water, like huge embarrassing moment, and this dude just. Your Messiah just told you, church is, or ecclesia is going to be built on you. Like how do you think, you said, how do you imagine what he would have felt like? What do you think he would have felt like?
Oh, he would have felt like the man. Are
Yeah.
you kidding? Yeah.
And then gets completely owned.
Yeah.
After
Well,
that.
I think you make a good point about him, falling into the water. We talked last week on this show about how, he probably was ridiculed by the guys, getting back into the boat.
Yeah.
You think you're, big shot, you can
Yeah.
walk on water. But then, the very next scene that we see of Peter, he's being,
Jesus
lifted or
is-
exalted to such a high place.
Build my rock on this church. And
Yeah.
Peter's probably like, see.
Yeah, well, even like you didn't know that. The Father revealed
Yeah.
it to you, like not to these other
right,
guys,
yeah.
to you.
Mm.
Oh, he probably felt like huge morale boost. Oh my goodness.
That's something interesting about
Ego
Peter
boost.
is that I think it's cool. Like last week we talked about, Peter said or did something cool, but it wasn't because of what Peter was doing. It was because Peter was focused on the master, right? Same with this week. It's like Peter gives you the right answer. Like, you are the Messiah. And Jesus is immediately like, you're blessed because my Father revealed that to you, not because you're smart and have been observant or anything. It has nothing to do with you, Peter. It is because of the Father, which is cool to me, because it's like Peter wasn't smarter than anyone else. He didn't have better opinions, and he wasn't like more observant. Everything that's happening right here and in the last week is because of what God is doing through Peter, not because of Peter's ability or anything.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. That's a major theme throughout Matthew, is anytime Peter or the other disciples are trying to lean on their own understanding, or they're trying to do their own thing, that's when they fall flat. That's when they sink in the water. But anytime they set themselves aside and just fully trusting God, that's when miraculous things happen. That's when you do walk for a little bit on the water. So, yeah, I think that's exactly it. It's like you didn't just come up with this on your own. You listened to the voice of God, and that's where you came to this conclusion.
Which would have been cool enough without what came after it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to call you a new name from now on. I'm going to give you a cool nickname, and you're the rock upon which I will build my church.
Yeah.
You said the powers of hell is actually translated to the gates of Hades.
That's literally what it says. The gates of Hades, yes.
Will not prevail against it. And you called back to the Anastasis fresco.
I had to. I had to. And I realized something. I realized that almost for sure, almost undoubtedly, that Anastasis tradition with the broken gates of hell were from this passage. That was absolutely where they got that idea in the first place. I'm sure of it. Like I can't imagine it not being that way. And so I was like, okay, how do I talk about the gates of hell, Hades, the gates of the realm of the dead, not being able to prevail against the church? And I was like, well,
you have to.
I mean, it's in everybody's mind from the last month, so I had to. Yeah.
Jesus says he's going to give the keys of heaven to Peter.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that even mean?
Keys of the kingdom.
Oh, yeah, keys of the kingdom of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean, to have the keys of the kingdom?
It's a good question.
That's a very good question.
Because it's not like you'll be a part of it. It's like you got the keys.
Right. To me, I see it as a form of authority of God essentially saying, I'm sharing authority with you. And that's backed up by what he says right after that, which I barely glanced at in the message, because I was like, there's no way to get into all this and still cover all this in 30 minutes. But he says, and I'll say it literally, he says, whatever you bind or like tie up on earth will have been bound in heaven. Whatever you loose or untie on earth will have been loosed in heaven. It's the weirdest verb structure ever, but he's basically, to cut to the chase, he's basically saying, you have now authority, or will have authority, as my representative to enact God's will on the earth. That's what the kingdom is. It's God's will, like, completed. And so for him to have the keys to the kingdom, for him to have the ability, and it's not him, it's the church that he's referring to here, I think. It's like him, but by extension, like the gathering. Yeah. The church will have the authority to affect God's will on the earth. That's wild.
Yeah.
Especially saying that to Rocky.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like being given a key to any city. And later in the New Testament, we're told that we are citizens of heaven, right? Like that's where our real citizenship lies. And so I don't know, that's what I think of when I think of keys to the kingdom. Like, you are a citizen. You're a fellow citizen. I'm going to give you keys to the kingdom.
Mm. And then the literal translation, the gates of Hades, right?
Yeah.
I got stuck on the word gates. I'm reading all these fantasy books right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, gates. Like, gates are obviously to either keep something in or keep something out, but they're like, they're defensive.
Yes.
And so after I was thinking about the fresco, and I know it's in Christian songs and stuff, but gates are meant to be a defensive thing. Like,
right.
The gates of hell will not prevail. What? That's like a children's song or something.
Okay. About a children's song about the gates
Sounds
of hell.
about right. Yeah.
I do not recall.
I don't remember.
And we're storming the gates of hell. We're gonna knock them all down.
But if the gates are hell, if the gates are defensive,
yes.
I was thinking, like, what's that say about the territory that we or the church is meant to enter into?
Right. That is exactly it. Thank you for asking that question, because that's, and I mentioned this in the message briefly, but that's what I think this is all about. Like, the church is assaulting the gates of Hades.
Yeah.
Like, we're
on the
down,
offense.
Yeah, we're going into death, and we are bringing life. We are joining Jesus.
Broken places,
ripping the dead out of their graves and bringing them back to life. Like, that's who we're here. And I mentioned, like, once Peter got it and actually had the Spirit of Christ within him, he raised the dead. Like, it actually happened. I mean,
because the NLT, you said it says powers of hell, right? And when I thought of that, I thought about like demons and like something that's more offensive. But as soon as you said the word gates, I'm like thinking about all these like
and this is
images
I rarely
of playing defense.
I rarely would say the NLT is wrong. Usually I would just say I disagree with it. But here it actually says all the powers of hell,
King James.
all the powers of hell will not conquer it.
Yeah.
And so the powers of hell, which are not the powers of hell, they're the powers, the gates of Hades, will not conquer it. That's them being in the offensive. Yeah. But it's the other way around.
The other way around.
Right.
Yeah.
So I respectfully disagree with the NLT on this, on their choices here, because I think it really is important to consider. What does it mean for us to be a body, a group of people who have been commissioned with the authority of God's kingdom to assault the gates of death? Like, that's what we're here to do, and that's pretty epic. And it's so different than just us hunkering down and not getting defeated by a bunch of demons with pitchforks. Yeah. I'm talking like, no, we are on the offensive against death. Yeah.
You shall not pass.
Exactly.
And a quick shout out to the New King James, which does say gates of Hades.
Of course.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Shout out. All right. Now to my favorite part of this passage, the get behind me, Satan.
Yeah.
Am I wrong for thinking that this is probably the most embarrassing thing that could happen to somebody who's been like you've been following this guy for I don't know how long, but that guy just said you were Satan.
Right. Yeah, here's one thing I'll point out. Matthew does not tell us if anyone else heard him say this to Peter. This might have been in private.
Oh, it was just him?
Well, we don't know, because Peter takes him aside to say, hey, knock it off, you're not going to die. And then he says this to him, and then he says to his disciples all the other stuff.
Oh,
so,
okay.
But
that changes everything.
But it's in Matthew's gospel.
Yeah.
So at some point, maybe later, Peter told them what happened, or Jesus told them what happened, or they heard it, they overheard it. So
yeah. Well, now we all know. So
we all know. I am perfectly fine imagining Peter being like, hey, knock it off, you're not supposed to. And Jesus going, get behind me, Satan.
In front of everybody?
Maybe. And all the disciples are like,
goodness.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. I always pictured this in my mind. Jesus is like a little high strung.
Okay.
He's like, he knows what's ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Peter basically saying, you kind of described it a little differently. Like, hey, don't, Yeah. I've always pictured him being like the Son of Man's gonna die or whatever, and Peter's like, not on my watch.
Right.
Like I always pictured him being like kind of more arrogant or confident about it.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
But you the way you put it, Jesus interpreted what Peter was saying as like a shortcut from what he was called to do.
Right. Matthew tells us that he rebuked him. Peter rebuked Jesus.
That's insane.
It's a big deal. I mean, yeah, he's basically saying to him like I'm reprimanding you for talking so negatively. So yeah, it's probably harsher than, hey, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was more like, stop talking like this.
Yeah.
Like with that attitude, you probably will die, but you're not gonna die because you're the Messiah. I don't know. So
Oh,
there's a little bit
man.
of an edge to it. I'm not exactly sure how
Well,
I
and
did
I'm
it in the
reading
sermon.
Mark's account, which is interesting in light of this conversation. Mark says, okay, he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He spoke this word openly. Then Peter took him aside, just like Matthew, and began to rebuke him, just like Matthew. But when he had turned around and looked at his disciples,
Oh.
he rebuked Peter.
Oh, there you go.
Goodness.
And
Thanks.
if-
I hadn't thought to
If
look
Peter
at that.
wrote Mark, like, that's...
Well, yeah, or Mark wrote Peter's
Right.
testimony. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
If Mark
That's the theory.
scribed for Peter,
Mhm.
then that'd be interesting that Peter would
You're not
include
coming
that.
back from that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
First of all,
Looked at his disciples.
how long into like the ministry were they?
I mean, this would have
Years?
been nearly 3 years. If this is, or 2.5 years, I don't know exactly. It doesn't really say, but like,
I don't
again,
know who
this
Peter
is-
thought he was. Like
he's Petros
after
now.
3 years,
No, he's Petros now.
you're like, hey,
he's the
Jesus,
rock.
let me tell you a few. Like, let me
Yeah.
give you some tips.
Listen to me. I'm the
Look,
rock.
you said I could bind and loose some stuff. Let me bind something right
Yeah, let
now.
me
You need
start
to
with
knock
this.
off all this negative
Start
talk.
with this. First of all, that's the first mistake. Second of all, like Matthew did Peter dirty. I think Matthew should have put something in there afterwards that was like. And later, Peter asked Jesus what he meant by the whole Satan thing, and Jesus explained. You know?
Well,
He kind of does explain in the very next passage.
Yeah.
He explains, if you want to be a follower of me, this is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, but I, if I were Peter, I'd be like, hey,
Yeah.
man, why'd you call me? Why'd you call me Satan? Like
Well,
that's the worst
yeah.
thing you could have called me.
Well, this is what I tried to explain I think Matthew kind of does give us that context. It's just not, it's not like super explicit. It's
Yeah.
not like a narrative motif, but I talked about Jesus being tempted in the wilderness, and
Yeah.
he says almost the exact same thing to Satan
Right.
directly.
Right.
And the only addition is the word behind. He's basically saying, get out of here,
Right.
Satan. And then in this one, he says, get out of here behind me, Satan, basically. It doesn't really work in Greek, or it doesn't really work in English like it does in Greek.
I keep thinking that Peter's getting a bad rap because he was right about who Jesus is. He's just
Right.
wrong about what that means.
Right. It's also helpful to remember that Satan is both what we call the evil one, and also it is a title, the adversary. And so by saying, get behind me, adversary,
Oh, well, that's different.
well, yeah, I do think he means Satan. It's exactly what he says earlier. But the meaning of it is adversary. Like, you are my enemy right now. You're acting like my enemy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't
Unbelievable
lessen, it doesn't
L.
lessen, major
Big
L.
L
Yeah.
for Peter.
Don't worry, it's
By
all
the
up
way-
from here, except for when he denies knowing Christ 3 times. Anyway,
Get Behind Me, Satan in 2025 is pretty underused, but
you want it to
I
make
think
a
it
comeback?
holds up as like a great rebuke.
Yeah.
Get Behind Me, Satan. Can you imagine? Like,
underused?
yeah, when's the last time you heard that?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it was like a tongue-in-cheek, like, get behind me, Satan. Maybe it's just because I have a
Yeah. What? What are you talking
different
about?
cultural background than you. But I feel like I heard it plenty.
Like if I was mad at you and I was like, "Get behind me, Satan."
Oh, I think I probably say it multiple times a year to each member of my family. But not like in like a full rage, but just like, nah, behind me, Satan. Like, we say it all the time.
Well, there you go. I would say I say it an appropriate amount, which I don't
think
know.
I think it's underused, but a very effective rebuke. Like if
yeah,
you're trying, like you sound like you're saying it like joking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably say, get behind me, Satan, as often as I say, get him, Jesus.
Yeah, which
Yes.
is also a joke to you.
It's all the time. Get them. Get him, Jesus.
Get 'em.
All right. My next feeling after the past 2 weeks is, especially when you said, Jesus said, "Don't go tell anyone," and you said why? Because
my thought. There's debate about that, but that's what I
basically keep it to yourselves.
Because then people are going to want to make me that kind of Messiah, and that's not the kind of Messiah I am.
I kind of feel like Jesus. Or let me ask it in a question: does it feel like Jesus this entire time is like keeping a secret from people
Mhm.
because no one ever seems to understand what he's talking about.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And he's never like, hey, you got the whole wrong idea about the whole Rome thing.
Mhm.
That's actually not what I'm doing. This is about your soul. Do you know what a soul is? Let me explain. Like, he never like comes out and is like, here's everything that I'm doing here to
Mhm.
anyone.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it just seemed like he worked with a bunch of people that just never got it until he was
Mhm.
dead and rose again, and then they were like, "Oh, now we get it."
Mm.
Well, I mean, it is kind of one of the motifs of Jesus's ministry that
Yeah.
he speaks in parables. I almost said riddles. They're not riddles; they're parables, and often he does explain them.
Yeah,
Um,
but would they have like? I was looking at verses 24 through 28, and I know we know what that means now, what he
Mhm.
was talking about. But
Yep.
would they have known what like, take up your cross and follow me? Would they have known what that meant?
Go ahead.
No, I don't think that they would have. But I think I was thinking about that during your message yesterday in light of this context. If he is saying that he is going to die, and they're saying, or what Peter is saying, no, that's not going to happen. He's saying, not only am I going to die, but you are also going to have to take up your cross. There was something about the emphasis on take up your own cross
Yeah.
that, when tied to what he had just said about his own fate, made more sense. I don't know how it would have been received. It's not great news, especially if they thought he was talking about a literal cross, which many of his disciples would have died that way. But yeah,
There are some little parenthetical asides by some of the gospel writers. I'm thinking of one in particular where John is describing Jesus clearing the temple, and he says, rebuild this temple, or tear this temple down and rebuild it, and I'll rebuild it in 3 days. And then John says, they didn't know it then, but he was talking about his own body.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think Jesus did that a lot. I think it was him seeding the ground a lot of the times with concepts and thoughts that would never have made any sense until the resurrection, and then it all started to click into place. I think that is the story of the first few years of the church, was them all putting pieces together and being like, oh, and with the Holy Spirit's help, they began to understand things that they never understood before. That's why he said that thing. That's why he did that thing. That's why he cursed that tree. That's why, I think it all would have clicked into place. And that's probably why the apostles played such an important role in conveying the gospel message, because they were the ones who heard all these things and could now say, okay, here's what Jesus taught us, and now we know this is what he meant,
Yeah, I get it. I just, if I was one of the 12, in 3 years, I would have been like, I don't understand like 85% of what you're saying. Can you sit me down and explain what it means to give my life up so I'll save it? What does that mean? Can you explain it, please?
Yeah. I wonder how much of it was simply these like teenage boys not wanting to be the first one to admit like that they didn't know what Jesus was talking about.
Did you understand that? I totally
like there's that meme of from Parks and Rec of Andy saying like, I don't actually know what this is, but at this point I'm too afraid to ask. Like I kind of feel like there was a lot of that going around as well. And I'm sure they were having these side conversations all the time. The disciples were like, did you get what he was talking about there? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it clearly was on purpose. And again, to go back to that idea of him not telling him, don't tell people I'm the Messiah, we do see instances where the crowd tries to forcibly make Jesus their king. And I don't know how you do that, how you forcibly make someone your king, but imagine that they did. Imagine that they got him, they brought him to Jerusalem, and they set him up as a king. That would incur the wrath of Rome and would potentially have him executed far before he's actually done the work he needs to do to prepare the way for that.
Yeah.
So there are alternate universes where Jesus was where Jesus was unable to complete his mission because he was too explicit. Those universes probably don't exist. Bad expression, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying, like, there's ways of imagining how things played out where had Jesus been straight up and explicit, either he never would have gotten a following.
That's right. That's what I was about to say.
Or they would have completely it would have ruined the whole thing somehow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I wonder if it was because if he was like, let me explain, this has nothing to do with Rome.
Well, but it does though. Sorry, it's a little.
But like,
continue. This is about
this
salvation
is about forever
and
for
about
everyone.
way more than
If anybody would have been like, yeah, I'm good with that,
right?
Or they would have been like, wait, yeah, but first Rome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they were looking for a king. They're like, we want to be free again.
Yeah.
We are in Egypt in the slavery. We need a deliverer to bring us to freedom. So yeah, if he had said it's not the kind of freedom you're thinking of, it's in fact you're all going to have to die to yourselves.
Yeah,
like I don't know that people would have been down with that.
Yeah.
And except this small crew that dwindles further by the time that Jesus is finally crucified. It's like a handful of disciples that are even still around. And then it all begins again to grow after the resurrection.
Yeah.
There's a passage in John. We're doing this John class, so I'm having trouble switching between John and Matthew in my mind. But there's a passage in John where it's when he's talking about eating my flesh and drinking my blood.
Yeah.
Another example of
Another
people
thing.
like, what?
I was just
Were you thinking
thinking
about
about
this?
that. Yes.
Example.
And at some point, everybody starts leaving, and then he goes to his 12, the core disciples. He said, "Are you guys going to leave too?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Where else would we go?"
yeah,
And implied in that, in my opinion, is like, we don't have any clue what you're talking about, but you got the words of life.
Yeah.
Like, we want to be with you, so we're going to stick with you even though we don't understand.
yeah, yeah. I can't imagine not understanding something for 3 years and sticking with it.
Would you do that if you saw the guy heal people,
Yeah.
raise from the dead,
I guess,
speak the
but
truth?
I'd want to
I
know
think-
way more than what these guys let on. I'd want to be like, how'd you do that? Tell me how you did that, and how do I do that?
I don't know. Maybe you are a product of what is it? The Enlightenment, or like we want to know. We're not very comfortable with mystery.
Yeah,
Right.
I wonder if they're watching him do all these miracles, and he's saying stuff they don't understand, but it's all part of the mystery to them.
Yeah.
And what that would feel like to be invited into the mystery.
yeah.
Like and be taking it all in, but not with like a scientific brain. Like they were
I
not
know.
like
Well,
us.
I mean, yeah, imagine.
I know, but that'd be cool for like 6 months.
No, I don't know. It's like, imagine you're a peasant fisherman, like poorest of the poor,
Yeah.
in Galilee, Nowheresville, Capernaum. Like you're a nobody, and then suddenly, like a new Moses says, "You want to be in my inner circle?" And he starts doing miracles, and he starts like having command over the waves, and he's like, I mean, I'd be like, I'll go with you anywhere. I'll
Yeah.
do anything with you. Please tell me how to continue to be a part of your inner circle.
Yeah. And if the stuff you say doesn't make sense, that's okay.
Sure.
'cause You
It's
just
probably a me problem.
walked on water.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably a me problem.
Yeah.
You said simple faith is the foundation of the church, and the way of Jesus is the way of self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
So my question, hearing that, was how do I train myself to resist Peter's shortcuts and embrace Jesus's path of the cross? Because he says, in order to follow me, you got to take up your cross. So how do I train myself to avoid shortcuts? Because I mean, like I said, I resonate with Peter a lot, and he gets it half right.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I would love to be half right all the time, instead of like all right 4% of the time or something.
Oh, okay.
So how do we avoid the shortcuts from Peter and embrace Jesus's path of the cross?
Well, to me, this is why when I talk about discipleship or following Christ or being even a Christian, I think of it in terms of a whole life reorientation, a whole life surrender versus just some new label that you can add on to your list of other things that you're into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think looking at your faith as a complete fresh start, and I'm starting from square one and I'm having to relearn how to even be a human. Like if that's how we look at our faith, then I think learning to walk in the way of Jesus at least is a little bit more explicable because we're starting with self-denial.
Yeah.
Versus I've got my life, I've got my ways of being, I've got my stuff that I'm into, I've got my money, I've got my family, and I'm going to add Jesus into that and see how much do I have to change to kind of be a part of this club. Like there's completely different ways of looking at things, and the latter in that example I think is a lot more the shortcut way versus the other way, which is to say, I'm going to literally give everything to you, including my life. It's all yours.
Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't fully answer your question, but that to me is one way of thinking about this. It's like it's a fundamentally different way of thinking about what faith even is in Christ.
Yeah, the whole I mean, yeah, I think maybe that's another byproduct of it being 2025 because I don't know, if I was with Jesus, maybe I wouldn't want to do shortcut, or maybe I don't know. Like in the culture we're in today, it's like I want to do everything I can to be the most successful. Even if that means there's corners to cut, or even if that means like going about things like the right way or the long way or the hard way or whatever. That's not like fun or natural for anyone.
No,
and
especially not Americans in 2025, but just in general, human nature.
But the act of the path with the cross is what trains you for the path of the cross, I think. Like choosing like, all right, I am going to surrender. I am going to obey. I am going to, it's not what I would prefer, and I'm going to put that down. Self-denial. Like doing that is what trains you for future iterations of that happening.
Surrendering teaches you to surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self-denial teaches you self-denial. Yeah.
I'm looking at 1 Peter 4 because he's talking about the sufferings of Christ and the sufferings that we share, and it's him kind of expounding on this idea of taking up your cross. And I'm struck by some of what he says. He says, your former friends are surprised when you no longer plunge into the flood of wild and destructive things they do. Right? So that's part of taking up your cross.
No longer
like
surprised.
You aren't who you were before.
Yeah.
You've changed your life. You've repented and turned around. But then it also says, most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other, for love covers a multitude of sins. Cheerfully share your home with those who need a meal or a place to stay. That's what taking up your cross looks like.
That's in 1 Peter?
That's in 1 Peter chapter 4. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really inspired to go and read both of these letters from Peter after this Peter mini-series to see, like, okay, there he was, a bumbling, ham-fisted disciple, but he's writing from a place of maturity by the time at which he's writing these letters. Yeah. So I kind of want to compare and contrast them. But I think that that's interesting, that taking up your cross doesn't necessarily mean like, for some it will mean physical pain and suffering. For others it might mean cheerfully share your home with those who need a meal or a place to stay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this passage of Scripture, has meant a lot to me. And so I'm hoping that people, like I feel like this passage of Scripture has like saved my life. This one, because this is, I've talked about it on this podcast, the whole like go to the cross thing. It started with this Scripture where it was like, man, how disappointing would it have felt for you to follow this Messiah for 3 years and him to be like, I'm going to go die. Like how disappointing would that have felt?
Right.
Which is how I kind of felt on my sabbatical. Like, man, I'm almost done with my sabbatical. I got nothing to show for it.
Right.
And then I read this Scripture and I was like, oh, all right. Yeah. I don't need a big like burning bush message. I just need the message of obedience and going to the cross.
Yeah.
And it saved my life, really, in a lot of ways. And so I hope people are digging into it and it's impacting them like it impacted me.
Yeah.
Can you find that episode of the podcast where you came back from sabbatical? Because you said that. Like, we have receipts.
What did I say?
You came back from your sabbatical saying, I didn't really come, to any burning bush moment.
Yeah.
But all I heard was the Lord say,
go to the cross.
Just go to the cross.
Yeah. And it was after reading this.
And for context for friends of the pod who are newer, don't really know, you just a few months later went into one of the darkest challenges of your life.
Yeah.
And that concept of going to the cross became your lifeline.
Yep.
So just to give the background.
And also, it's personal to me in a similar way. This is the Scripture that I felt the Lord place on my heart when I was considering whether or not to answer the call to be a pastor. It was take up your cross.
Yeah.
It was, if you're ashamed of me or my words before this sinful generation, I will be ashamed of you before my Father. That's in Mark, right after Jesus says these words, right after this moment with Peter, take up your cross.
Yeah, it is amazing like how we just talked about how like complicated or how I think it's so complicated the way Jesus talks because nobody understands it that he's with. But it does come down to can you just have simple faith?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said. Like simple faith is the foundation of the church.
Yeah, that's
and it is like can you allow yourself to deny yourself and trust in the Lord? That's it. That's what it comes down to.
right.
It doesn't have to be overly complicated. And I like to overly complicate things, I think. But, yeah.
I mean, to
What?
say it's
If you would have been the disciple asking Jesus to just break down his every
Yeah,
move,
yeah.
I think simple faith would have been hard for you.
It would have been. I would have been like, wait, he just walked on water for like a second. How do I do it for longer?
that's funny. You'd probably be more like
faith.
you'd probably be more like
Yeah.
Simple competitive faith.
Yeah.
you probably would have been more like a Thomas, because Thomas like
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
when in
Yeah.
John when Jesus basically says, all right, we're gonna go to Jerusalem, and they're like, you're gonna die in Jerusalem. He's like, I know, we're going. Thomas is like, all right, well then we're gonna go die with him. And I read it in Tyler's voice where he's like, all right, we're gonna go too. Which I may or may
Yeah.
not be at all what he intended with
Yeah.
that phrase, but that's how I read it. Yeah.
And it's interesting. I'll ask you, Maron, where we're going next because you said you're preaching. But I think you're preaching on this.
You
The
do?
very next thing that comes is the Transfiguration.
Correct.
Talk about a whiplash for poor Peter. This is craziness.
I have to believe that it's significant, like the order,
Yes.
because like Jesus just told them how to follow him, and it's like really hard. You have to
Mhm.
deny yourself. You have to carry your cross. If you lose your life, or it's better to, what does he say? The whole world.
If you try to hold on to your life, you'll lose it.
Yeah.
If you
What's
give
the
up
point
your
of
life for
getting
my
the
sake,
whole-
you'll
What's the
gain
point
it.
of getting the whole world if you lose your soul?
Right,
Like,
right,
that's
right.
the hard part. I feel like the Transfiguration's like, and here's the guy that's leading you into the hard part.
Yeah.
Everything that you think he is, here it is. Here's a preview of
Yeah.
the guy who's leading you into the hard part.
Yeah.
Uh,
And spoiler alert, he's not Elijah because Elijah's right there.
Elijah's
Yeah.
there
and,
with
he's,
him.
and he's not Moses.
Moses is right there.
Yeah.
So he's not those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you preaching on the Transfiguration.
Correct.
Okay. So I can ask all my Transfiguration questions next week. Like, why is your immediate response? Never mind. Why is your immediate response? I'm going to go build 3 tents.
Building some shelters.
Like, do you think
We'll talk
these
about
guys,
that.
these glowing guys, need tents?
I mean, it was hot up there.
Come on, Peter.
Hot,
Sun,
cold.
sun shining. Maybe it was raining. We don't know.
God's shining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing I wish we could do next, like topically, not it wouldn't work with the series, is I wish we could talk about Peter denying Jesus at the crucifixion
Just go
right
into
away.
that.
Because that you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's that whiplash of like,
Yeah.
upon this rock I'll build my church. Get behind me, Satan. Transfiguration.
Yeah, right.
And Peter denies Christ.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
You cannot have this like one side without the other with Peter,
Yeah.
and so I don't know.
Man. Now, that's something, like, if I saw the Transfiguration, I don't think I'd have any questions. I wouldn't be like, tell me how to do that. I'd be terrified. Like, let's never speak of this again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's never talk about this part again.
Yeah. And it's another one of those things where they're coming down from the mountain and Jesus says, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone
Yeah,
until
that-
after.
Yeah.
Until after I've done what I needed to do in Jerusalem.
It's a tough break, though, that he denies Jesus after the Transfiguration.
Well,
It's
yeah.
a tough break.
Tough break, Peter. Trying, man. I'm trying to defend you. All right, so we're going there next.
Yeah. Transfiguration.
Okay. Have you you all done with your sermon?
I'm all done. I had a major project due today that I turned in right before I came here. So
All right. So
on
you're
to the next.
yeah, well on your way. Sermon's due in a couple days.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Okay. And then just family business, I guess. More family business. We've got that episode, and then we've got one more episode before Thanksgiving, right? Yes. And that's it for the year. So we got 2 more episodes between Sundays for the year.
Okay.
So
That's wild.
That is kind of
That
crazy.
feels crazy.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
snow on the ground, and we only have
I
2
know.
episodes
We're
left.
taking the
Can
month
we-
of December off.
Can we tell people about December 28th?
Yeah, if you want to tell them.
All right. All right. So technically, this isn't the last you're going to hear from the podcast crew this year because
Yeah.
we
Are recording.
we will have recorded by December 28th a special. Last year, if you remember, I did like a little just in my study, and I did a little meditation on Philippians 2. This year, it's going to be the 3 of us reflecting on a passage to kind of look back on the year and look forward into the new year. And so
Podcast style.
it will be podcast style, which is different, an experiment.
Yeah.
People will probably hate it, but
no,
why
they'll
not?
love it.
I mean, maybe we'll see. But anyway,
We just like everything else, we're like, this is probably going to be like 12 minutes, and we
it was like over an hour.
Yeah.
Where we thought it was,
Yeah.
we like lowballed the
yeah.
time.
Always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can probably cut some stuff.
I think
Cut the
loyal
fluff.
listeners, loyal friends of
Yeah,
the pod will
it'll
be
be good.
thrilled.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think others will be like, "What is this?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
What are
What
we
It's not
doing?"
church service,
Yeah,
so what are we doing? Yeah.
Oh, man. All
It'll be
right.
good.
We'll be back next week. Maron, will you please send us out?
I will. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
We'll see you on the other side of Sunday.